We found lots of crocodiles.
Let's leave everything and go traveling. See what tomorrow brings. It's only a choice away. Let's back up and leave today. Let's see what tomorrow brings.
We made it into Bolivia after a long day, and it became even longer as we searched for some local currency and then gas. But eventually we got everything taken care of and headed out of this little border town towards some place to sleep. The next morning we were anxious to make some miles and get out of this hot, smoky jungle. And we found ourselves on a very silty dirt road with lots of road construction. It looked like they were working to make this a big highway. But for now it was just a dusty mess that seemed endless. We were very glad there wasn't any rain in the forecast because just a little bit of water would turn this silt into a slippery mess. It was a long day of making miles, but eventually we pulled off our dusty road and made camp in a dusty field next to an old termite mound. Everything was covered in fine red silt, but we made the best of it. The next morning, it was back to the dust. But today, we saw a lot more wildlife. And some not so wild life. We found lots of crocodiles.
Cayman.
Is that a crocodile? I'll show you. You can't tell the scale of it, but it literally looks like a pelican with really long legs.
It's up to
huge.
Here. I mean, it's like a 4 or 5 foot tall bird. Like a small ostrich.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But still can fly. I mean, it was crazy. And then the amount of alligators is
They're
just
everywhere. I thought at first I saw one and I was like, no, that was just a stick that looked like one. And then I was like, there's another. They're everywhere.
Yeah, there were big ones too. I mean, for a caiman, I think they were on the bigger side. Most of the ones we saw were on the smaller side, I think.
Yeah.
Or normal sized. And there was a couple big suckers hanging out. When they're building this road, it's like, that's the natural depression of water that almost is dried up. I wonder if it will dry up before the rains start.
Yeah.
But then they dug big ponds over on the other side here, and that's where the bigger caiman were hanging out.
Pretty cool.
Amazing. And you can see, look at all that will turn back into marsh as soon as the rainy season begins. But disconcerting to just see so many caiman and in no way scared of you. You get real close and they just kind of slowly cruise into the water, their eyes popping up, looking at you, wondering what's this thing up to. But
yeah, they watch you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Finally, after 2 days and a little over 370 miles, all rough dirt road, we hit pavement. And even though the pavement wasn't much smoother than the dirt we had been on, we were thankful we had made it off that road without any rain. We filled up our gas tanks in the little town, then headed far enough from civilization to search for a camp spot, which proved to be challenging in this area. But finally we found a little abandoned track next to a stream where we were able to pop the top and crawl into bed. It was too dark to see much, but just listen to the sounds of the night here. In the morning, we were visited by a butterfly. This was our campsite last night. It's a random little road that we pulled off on. Turned out to have nothing on it, no one on it.
Yep.
And it made a good camp. It's looking rather ominous and rainy up ahead. So.
Yeah, we don't know how far out it's raining. When we get service, we're gonna check. But our friends Shannon and Tim are way up in the north of Bolivia, where we just came from, and there's silt beds. I mean, silt beds like I haven't seen since Baja, where
like
the
the
silt's
water
coming
trucks
over your
would
hood.
just come across the road, and just a simple water truck would literally make you slide. It got so slippery.
Yeah, they're just spreading a little water, and we were doing a complete crab walk sort of sideways. So if it truly rains, that road's going to be gnarly. So I don't think it's going to rain up there. I think it's just raining here. And this might get nasty, but so far it's gravelly enough and or hard pack enough. I think we'll be fine. But we're heading for the Bolivian Death Road. I know it's not very gnarly from everything I've read and seen, because there's not two-way traffic on it anymore. And when there's two-way traffic with commercial trucks, it was more of a space issue. Sort of like the Trampoline of Death and other roads we've been on.
I think there is two-way traffic, but no commercial traffic.
Yeah,
right?
it's not really in use. Anyone on it is like a tourist or somebody going to their house that's along it.
Yeah.
It's not the main thoroughfare. There's a paved highway next to it. So as a novelty, we'll check it out because I want to show it to you guys. And then I just like to see it, I guess. And
yeah, it has such a big name.
Yeah.
But yeah, we might get rained on today, I think.
Yeah, first rain in a while now, huh?
Goose could use a little rinse off from all the dust, so maybe it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
About 4 o'clock, and we have had no luck finding anywhere to camp today. So we're on the death road already.
Yes, so we have begun the death road, like 10 feet of it so far, not much. Apparently you're supposed to stay to the left.
Which feels very wrong.
Yep. And then, you know, you've got tourists on bicycles, so you never know what they're going to be choosing to do, right? Depending on what country they're from, probably.
But the little road that we took to get to the death road was way smaller and more sketchy than so far the death road. So.
Yeah, we teed into the death road. We're on the bottom end of it going to the upper end of it. So we're going from the east to the west, and because that's the way we were kind of coming through the country. People say that's better anyways because you get to hug the inside, and then passing traffic has to go on the outside.
And you're going uphill, which apparently gets the right of way as far as backing up. I don't know if anyone adheres to that, but
we'll see. We'll see about that one. I think part of it comes down to who's more confident in their backing up ability, and if somebody seems really sketchy, since we had that one guy run into us in Colombia on the Bolivian Death Road, I'd rather back up and get out of the way. I do like that we don't have to hug the edge, but yeah, so far it's very mellow. But again, if we were heading up this road and there's 4 commercial trucks with trailers, it certainly would be scarier. I haven't seen a car yet, but I'm a little worried about this hugging the left side of the road when you're going around blind corners, because I don't know, like, oh yeah, everyone adheres to that, stick to it, or is it more of a, you know, some people do, some people don't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm a little worried until we see a car, you know, what's going to happen. But my estimation of the Death Road is it's going to be one of the more mellow roads we've driven the whole trip,
Yeah.
because there's not giant amounts of two-way traffic that are giant buses, trucks, etc., etc. And so far, that's what it is. It's 2.5 car width wide road so far.
Yeah.
Well, again, we've just started it, so. But I wanted to be able to give you guys like a review of it, I guess you could say. But we'll hopefully find a campsite along it tonight so we can hang out.
That would be nice.
Yes. That section right there was actually impressively steep. Not so much for an off-road truck, but for a commercial truck, which is what was going up and down this all the time. That would have been one where you could see people needing to take an extra run at it, or tying all the trucks together to get each other to pull each other up. But it's dry right now too, so I can only fathom when that's wet. It'd be gnarly. Now it's down to like a lane and a half. So this is like normal Colorado shelf road if you've done a lot of trails in the San Juans and stuff. I'd say somewhere between like tougher than Ophir Pass, not as sort of scary feeling as like Black Bear. So it's gotten smaller, but it's still a car and a half wide, I'd say, meaning most spots you could just pull forward or back 25 feet and then get 2 cars past each other. So again, when it was in use, I'm sure this would be terrifying, the amount of traffic you're trying to get out of the way of, but right now, pretty mellow.
This road was built in the 1930s and got the nickname the Death Road because until 2006, when a bypass for this section was finished, it claimed about 200 to 300 lives each year. It was the only route for many to get into the capital city of La Paz, where they could sell their crops, livestock, etc. So they had no choice but to risk driving large, heavy trucks on this curvy, narrow shelf road. It sees a lot of rain, so washouts and mudslides are normal. It's also famous for its fog. I can't imagine trying to get a commercial truck around some of the hairpin turns or up a few of the grades, especially in the wet. Driving this road felt a bit ominous and somber, with constant crosses reminding us of all the lives it has claimed. I was sure thankful we had good weather and not much traffic. Eventually, we called it a night at this little pull-off. I wonder how many people can say they've spent the night on the death road.
All right, so we did most of the death road, although there's still quite a bit more driving to do to just get back to the paved highway. But we went through one little toll booth at the bottom for 5 Bolivianos, which is less than $1. And then that was just like this little side road to get to the death road. We got to the death road and you saw tons of vans with bicycles on the top, tourists biking down the death road. And then there's the real toll booth for the death road. That's 25 Bolivianos. And they'll try to push you to buy 2. And they'll say, oh, there's another person though, you should buy another one. But you don't actually have to buy another one, it's per vehicle. So we just said, no, we just want one. And she said, but there's somebody else in your vehicle. And we said, yep, we'll just have one ticket for the death road. So it's 25. Then we headed up the road. There are a couple really pretty spots where it gets skinny. It's the scenes, if you've watched the Top Gear, or was it Grand Tour at that point, I can't remember, special where they do it. If you've seen other videos over the years of buses falling off, it was kind of at this one little spot. The rest of it is very mellow, 1.5 lane width road. And then there's a section that is just perched on a cliff. And it's really pretty, and there's water cascading down, and it's coming down on the truck. We've had that happen to us though, you know, similar skinniness and, you know, water and waterfalls hitting you 7 or 8 times on the trip. So it really wasn't very different. It was nice to see again, and it was really pretty. But that's kind of the quintessential death road spot. As soon as you get past that, there's another toll booth. It's really in the middle of the whole road, but it's what they're considering the sort of beginning on the upper end, on the high point. And so they checked our tickets again, and it's weird. They tried the same thing. No, there's another person in your vehicle, you need another ticket. And she just said no, and he just went, okay, and he lowered the thing. So it was clear that they're just trying, because they give it like a half-hearted attempt and then give in. So interesting and annoying, just to have people doing that every chance they get a couple more bucks out of you. I understand, but it's still frustrating. So now we're just past that upper gate, and this is an overlander spot, and it's decent. You can hide from the road here. And we assume in the morning there'll just be tons of tourists mountain biking down it, because we saw the tail end of that today. If you're passing the death road, sure, go ahead and run it. But if you've been on like a big Pan American trip and you've done a lot of off-roading, the road's not remarkable or skinny or sketchy or anything. It's just got a cool name and some really cool and sad history from when it was the main road. And if it was the main road and there was buses passing us, for sure it'd be way more sketchy. But we've seen that several times in other countries where it's still the main road and you do have to pass trucks or reverse for, I think the most we've reversed is probably a half mile, maybe a little longer, of getting back to a spot where 2 vehicles could pass, and that seemed a lot gnarlier than this. So yeah, I'd say skip it. That's my so far opinion. We've got more road to do, but I think there was an entry sign saying welcome to the Bolivian Death Road we just passed. So I think that was the sort of what they're considering the end of it. So yeah, skip it unless you happen to be passing right past it. And even then, up to you.
We spent the evening enjoying the cooler temps we had gained with some elevation and the gorgeous views when the fog allowed. And other than a few cars passing before dark, we had it all to ourselves. It was a surprisingly peaceful spot. So although overall the Death Road didn't strike us as a place that was worth going out of your way to see, it's your adventure. So don't listen to us. Go find out for yourself. Thanks for watching, everyone. Join us next time as we officially make it out of the jungle and hit the highest administrative capital in the world, La Paz. Then we check out the birthplace of the Incas, Lake Titicaca.